Welcome to the Aristocracy. Welcome. How you guys all doing today? Okay, so basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about my struggles with streaming. So it's going to be a little personal. And I guess why I'm wondering if I should quit or not. Okay, so in terms of streaming, a lot of people, when they think of streaming, they think of, and I totally was guilty of this too, they think of what I'm doing right now. You know, like talking to a bunch of people, doing a stream. But that part of streaming, I would say, is only 20% of the job. In my experience. My short experience of doing this for about a month. Like, that's like the 20% of it. The rest is divided in, like, you know, your other social media presence, you know, like marketing yourself, branding, all that stuff. And then there's the social aspect, which is keeping up your reputation, because your reputation and your integrity is everything in this world. Everything. And keeping that up is, I would say, like 50%. Like a huge chunk. Honestly, it's not even Twitter. Like, it's not even Twitter that's being mean to me. Twitter's actually been really nice to me so far. I don't know why. You should make the multiple months crown like Solomon the Magnificent Stat Crown. Oh, that's a good idea, Sonocat. That's actually a really good idea. Wait, we're like really close to hitting 50 subs. Like only 9 away. I didn't expect to hit the goal so early. That's crazy. Yeah, there's so much work offline in the background. The history. Oh, it's history of anti-Semitism. But yeah, so I think I'm pretty good at the streaming. I like the whole talking to people. That's actually my favorite part, is getting to hang out, especially the people I get to meet is the coolest. I've made so many friends with my viewers. Do I keep the crown if I change my subscription to Patreon? No, I don't think so. I wish there was a way I could edit that, because in a way, like, I prefer Patreon supporters. But today, actually, you'll get, I am going to have a credits section for my Patreon supporters. Drama, thank you so much for gifting that sub. Really appreciate it. And Caught, welcome to the Aristocracy, where you get to oppress the lower classes. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's not Twitter, right? It's honestly just like, because this whole world operates like a high school. That's just the truth. It's just the truth. And like the social environment of it is charming, and I haven't been to high school in a long time, guys. Oh my god. This is fucking amazing. We hit level 5. Thank you guys so much. Cause you old as fuck. Ego, how dare you call me old? Just cause you have a fancy crown doesn't mean you could do that, okay? Is the base backwards? Wait, the base is backwards? What the heck? Are you questioning, was this off of NCC drama? It's not just that. It's been like the NCC thing has kind of just catapulted into, it's not even her. Like, I don't even know if she's doing other things against me. Probably not. Like, hopefully she's moved on. It's just like, that's kind of, whenever just one drama starts, it's like the seed for lots of different things. Just join, don't quit, thanks. Need to leave, it's late. No, don't leave, don't leave. How long have you been doing Twitch as a full-time job? Like 3 weeks? 2.5 weeks? Not long. I know, that's why it's like I just started and the going gets tough, and like, oh, Guslav, thank you so much for pledging on Patreon. Thank you. Thank you, that is like the best way to support me. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Watching a stream gave me a newfound interest in history. Thank you, Cloud. That's actually, honestly, comments like that make me feel so fucking nice. Instead of quitting, you could also completely reinvent your image and content. Yeah, Nate, okay, so this is, I'll tell you guys, like, the struggle that I'm having, right? The problem that I'm having is not with the content. I'm really, maybe this is me being egotistical, but I'm really proud of the content I'm making. Especially when you compare it to a lot of the stuff that you see on Twitch. I feel like it's really high quality. I don't want to like shit on anyone, right? But I just, I feel like you see the stuff on YouTube and you don't often see it on Twitch. And I put a lot of effort into my streams and making sure that I'm responsible with the kind of things that I push. So I'm really, really proud of the streams that I do. And especially the interviews, my goal with the interviews has been, bringing charitability and empathy to this world, right? Like to this Twitch world. Like so many people had ideas about Demon Mama or Kraut or Destiny and stuff, and you get to hear them and you listen to their personal stories, or like Vosh, right? And you suddenly understand them from a different perspective, because everyone has their own story. And I think before you hate on someone, before you just immediately shit on them, because that's what public figures get, tons of hate, it's important to, look at it from a broad perspective. And that's kind of what history's taught me, like, in general, to be charitable, because everything has a story, like, you're looking at, the Roma, people complain about, say, like, the Roma, the fact that they never settle down, they're always moving, and that, right? Well, there's a history to that. There's a story of why the Roma do that, right? Like, there's always a story behind everything, and the same goes for people. And, like, sure, that attitude can sometimes let you get taken advantage of, which is probably happening. But I would just so much rather take the hits than potentially swing at someone that doesn't deserve to get swinged at. Swing. I don't even know how to say it. But yeah, so I'm proud of the content. I'm proud of the content that I put out. I'm proud that I've grown quickly. Like, there's been a lot of work. I've been working like 24/7. Like yesterday was like I was playing Subnautica for a bit, and that was like one of the first breaks I really took. And yeah, I just learned that they weren't allowed access to housing. Yeah, there's like a whole story, right? So there's always a story behind so many things. And anyways, so like I think so I'm proud of the content I'm creating. So that's not the issue. The issue for me is I'm wondering if my skin is thick enough to handle this world. And I actually always thought the problem is not my stream, and it's not even Twitch, it's me. And I say that as someone who's often self-critical. Sloppy Pasta, thank you so much for subbing on Patreon. That's huge. You're like a silver supporter. Thank you. That's fucking huge. Thank you. I really appreciate that. The problem is I always thought that I had really thick skin. Like, I've always been really proud of that. And that's why this is like this weird dark irony that, my skin feels really thin right now. That's the problem with thick skin. Sensitivity is essential to empathy. Yeah. No, exactly, right? I'm definitely sensitive. Eyewitness Chicken, thank you so much for resubbing. I really appreciate you sticking around. Honestly, resubs mean the world, because that means to me that I came through with what you expected. And yeah, that's the biggest compliment you could give me. I think you have one of the strongest communities I've ever seen. Thank Lake Laos. That's actually really cool. Honestly, like, the community itself is the coolest part about streaming. Devil dances, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they have their arguments, right? But the issue is, honestly, I'm not directing this hate towards other people, right? Like, this is actually about me and trying to improve myself and everything, because I think if I need to survive in this world, I need to get thicker skin. I remember when I did the interview with Vosh, he literally told me, you cannot get your sense of validity from other people. You can't do it. It'll drive you insane. And I feel like I'm hitting that point where I need it's like I'm either gonna sink or swim. And I'm worried that if I get the super thicker skin, that's gonna translate to me also being kind of shittier to people. Like, what if that also changes who I am? And, it means that I'm less sensitive with how I treat other people. Because that's often the consequence of putting up intense walls, right? I actually always thought I had thick skin. I've been playing video games, because the hardest thing in this world being a gamer girl, but I've been playing video games for a long time, and the shit that I've dealt with online is like nuts. Harris is the first stream historian. I know, thank you. Like I've been dealing with shit online for being Jewish, for being mixed race, like for being a woman. Last November. Thank you so much for gifting those subs and paying it forward. That's so fucking cool. But yeah, I've been dealing with this shit for so long. Like I used to I was gaming in the, I used to play competitively in Age of Empires, like Age of Empires 3 community. And most of that community was from India and South America. And the sexism I experienced in that community, like I'm telling you, like they wouldn't just call you like a bitch, right? Like they would tell you in detail how they were going to rape you. That was my experience with that world. And like I thought I could handle everything after that shit. I just got back. Eris is seriously considering quitting. I'm just talking about like, I guess like the struggle that I've kind of faced. Because I feel like this is a moment where I can either sink or I could swim. I think this is the moment that Vosh warned me about that was going to happen. What is in Eris's Xbox Live chat logs? But yeah, like the things that I dealt with were so harsh. And then on top of that, when I got into the Discord world and I debated Nazis, like the shit they did, like they spread around my photo calling me flat-faced because I'm part Asian. I thought like, tons of things. Like I've dealt with so much like shit. I thought my skin would be thicker by now. I remember getting into streaming, I was like, oh, I might be ahead of the curve because I'll be able to know how to deal with this stuff. But there was something different about this. And I'm not saying it's more dangerous or anything. I think it's like, it hurts more. And I don't know why it hurts more. I don't know why someone like DMing me, like last night, I'm not going to say who it is, right? But someone DMing me telling me that like in this really condescending way that I shouldn't be, shouldn't be offended, like what I should and should not be offended by. And then saying that I've coded my avatar as a white person, and so I benefit from like white privilege, so that erases my entire like identity. Like that was weird. Like, and I don't know why, like this person like was just DMing me nonstop. I had to block them, and like that just put me off, like ruined my night. And I just like I hate how like just one person DMing me could just like ruin my night, because I was having this amazing night. And it feels like that's been going on for the past few weeks. Like I'm having like a good night, and then someone DMs me something, and I think it's because it's like the language that's used in order to do this stuff is like, it's like woke terminology. Like it's usually woke term. It's not like I'm used to like shit from Nazi stuff, but it's like woke terminology as a way to like demean my experience. Or like to like gaslight me. Yeah, you're not playing into Jewish stereotypes enough with your anime girl avatar. Yeah, that was weird. I don't know, like what, and on top of that, I was like, wait, anime girls are Asian, right? Like, I'm pretty sure they're Asian. I'm pretty sure they're meant to be Japanese. That's one of so that's one of the problems in general with non-Japanese people, like playing anime characters like in Ghost in the Shell, right? But yeah, so I don't know, like, I guess I didn't make my character look Asian enough or something. I don't know. It's weird. Is the Twitch community more toxic than other toxic communities you've seen on Discord? I don't know if it's more toxic. I think I'm just more sensitive to the toxicity. I actually think the problem's me, because I know it's not. I know objectively what the shit I've gotten, right? The DMs I've gotten and stuff. It doesn't, and like people will shit talk me in other people's streams and stuff. Every day I get sent screenshots of this stuff. Just saying just lies after lies. that I'm lying about anti-Semitism, that I'm lying about my education, that I'm, that I was actually I got accused the other day of literally being the cause of apartheid as a child. Okay, and that I escaped justice and I need to be sent back and kicked out of the country. I was a baby. Like, what the fuck? And on top of that, and then a Jewish person messages me and tells me that I have no right to be offended by it or consider the things that he said, to be Jewish erasure, right? Oh, the devil dances. Thank you for messaging me on Patreon. When I'm like, okay, you cannot be offended by it. Good for you. I'm glad, but for me as a Jewish person and my experience and all of that stuff, I'm a little sensitive considering the thousands of years, and we're going to get into that history, considering the thousands of years that Jews have been literally kicked out of countries and sent back to where they came from. That attitude, for thousands of years we've been kicked out. So yeah, I'm going to be a little sensitive when someone tells me that, especially when it's for no other reason than for something I had zero control over. Especially when other so-called lefties are cheering it on. I feel the same way, Eris. Beautiful, intelligent folks like us get attacked by ugly, evil Charmel, what the heck? Okay. I feel like I'm getting trolled there. Is it really that hard to just read it and say, okay, boomer, and move on with your day? Yeah, Nightwiz, honestly, that's what I need to do. That's what the problem is me. Every streamer gets hate. The thing is, I feel like I'm just complaining about it more. And that makes me feel really whiny. I know Chud Logic gets tons of hate, right? He never complains. He's a fucking champ. Denims, look at the shit she's gotten. Okay? You almost never see her complaining. So I'm seeing all these amazing streamers that I know, they get their own shit all the time. You don't even realize the shit they're getting behind the scenes. And they have and they somehow can just get up and stream every day, and they're not complaining, they're not bitter, it's not affecting their content. It's they're so chill about it. And I'm wondering why am I so sensitive to this shit? That's what bothers me. And then I get into this cycle of self-hate where it's I get offended, and then I'm really offended, and I'm bothered by it, and it ruins my night. And then I get doubly offended because I'm upset at myself for letting it ruin my night. And then I'm what's wrong with me? Why am I so sensitive to this shit? How can I survive this online universe? I'm going to be getting, if this is imagine criticism now, just imagine the shit when I actually fuck up. Right? This is before I fucked up. And I know I'm going to fuck up inevitably. Everyone does. So, yeah, I'm sure, if this is the shit, if this is how, so to me, this is the moment where I'm I started to think last night, I was am I really made for this? The content, the actual streaming part, I love. The talking to people, the meeting people, the social media stuff, I love, right? But the criticism part, because I've always been this person, I've really prided myself on being the type of person to take criticism as, incredibly well. But part of taking criticism well is being charitable when you get criticized, right? So someone gives me a criticism, and they say hey, the criticism is, you're being too sensitive about anti-Semitism. Say there's that, right? And so I'm not going to just immediately dismiss that. Just naturally, when someone criticizes me, I'm going to be okay, what's their point? And then I'm going to start examining it. I'm going to start looking from their perspective. Does it seem like that? Maybe they have a point, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll kind of start to dissect it. That's always how I've dealt with criticism. And I think it's part of what made me a good leader in CC. Because, I wasn't just this egomaniac that was just dismissing everyone whenever they brought me criticism. But I think in this Twitch world, there's a consequence to having that attitude when it comes to kind of absorbing the self-hate. Yeah, honestly, saw no avocado, honestly, the concern troll thing, and being able to separate the legitimate criticisms from the illegitimate ones is the struggle. Remember that when I told you those who can make content and those who can farm drums. Yeah, Dr. Heemed. Honestly, by the way, really fucking nice streamer. You know what is so ironic? Like, there have been some streamers that have been absolutely amazing behind the scenes. Dr. Heemed is one of them. You guys should all follow that guy. Really, really fucking cool. And also a fellow Canadian. And a fellow immigrant. Okay? A fellow immigrant. And yeah, fuck anyone who tells us immigrants that, like, this isn't our land. Like, yeah, fuck that shit. There's nothing wrong with moving to a variety VTuber and you already have a strong foundation. Thanks, Celerio. Yeah, the issue's not with my content, right? I'm pretty happy with the content. The issue seems to be like, it's just like the effect of the criticism. The sheer amount of times I've been called the K word and being mocked for being Jewish and on economics and red pill heavy servers, yeah. No, like, the anti-Semitism is just nuts, like, online. Honestly, and I've been talking to some other creators, like, of, you know, other groups that often just get dismissed. Like Muslim creators. The shit they get for being Muslim? Like, holy shit. Yeah, so, like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, I feel like I need, and I looked up, I was looking up guides, because my first instinct whenever I have a question is, like, to go on Reddit. I go on Reddit or I go on JSTOR, right? So it's like, if I can't find something on JSTOR, I'm going to go on Reddit. And so I go on Reddit, and I'm trying to find, like, guides on, like, how to deal with, you know, suddenly becoming, I mean, I'm not, like, internet famous, right? But at least having a big platform, so you're going to be open to tons of criticism and stuff, right? So I'm, like, trying to find that, and there's just nothing. There's nothing with, like, there's no guides on this. This is such a weird job, such a weird experience. If you guys find any guides on it, please DM me. Like, how to deal with this shit. If I can't find something on JSTOR, I'm gonna go on Reddit. No drama, don't quote me on that. That's stupid. Hassan is a prime example of that, and he doesn't even practice Islam anymore, but he still gets harassment for it. Oh, yeah. And he gets harassment for being Turkish, like, as well. Like, just for, you know, things he can't control. Like, there's so many, like, weird things. But anyways, yeah, I trust r/neoliberal implicitly. But yeah, like, I just don't know how to deal with it. Like, how do you separate and I feel like I've asked so many streamers this in my interviews, like, how do you separate the legitimate criticisms from the illegitimate ones? And how do you not make that struggle to find that separation? How do you not make that destroy you and ruin your nights? Like, and yeah, no one's been able to give me, like, a firm answer. Like, people either do one or the other. And I don't know, like, if I want to do fully one, like, where I just, like, completely, you know, chuck any criticism. Whenever someone gives me criticism, I'm just like, oh, you must be an anti-Semite. Chuck. Like, and completely ignore it. I know that's not true. Legit criticism is or can be exemplified. Yeah, and, like, that's the hard thing. Like, I'm wondering, maybe I should make, like, a team of, like, Era's criticism lawyers, you know, where they're, like, you know, they'll figure out the legit criticisms, you know, and siphon them out and change it to, like, the actual illegitimate ones. Bad Hoss, I had a bad night, okay? CC is very curated and well-moderate community, so criticism there can usually come from a place of good faith. Twitch is a bit of a Wild West. Yeah, and the problem is, Nomstar, the problem is that when you start to be a public figure, it starts to become profitable to shit talk you. So there's, like, a financial incentive to make up lies about you, to be dramatic about me, like, and all that stuff. That's, like, really gross. I don't understand, like, why there's no recourse, because slander is against the law in most countries. And when I'm talking about slander, I don't mean just, like, light lies. I mean, like, outright lies. Like, saying that I participated in war crimes in South Africa, okay, and that I escaped justice. Like, that's illegal. You cannot say that if that's not true, especially when it's so obviously not true, right? I'm 30 years old. I'm not old enough to be that. Someone brought up to the guy that I was 11, and he was like, well, she could have still done it when she was like a child. And by the time I was 11, like, South Africa was fully, you know, apartheid, at least the exact system of apartheid was done, right? SCC is, I'm just reading. Dr. K has some nice interviews, which give some perspective on techniques. Yeah, actually, that would be really interesting. You need to reverse the burden and ask the critic for examples. Yeah, I guess that's true, Nova. It's just, like, so hard, like, especially dealing with so much criticism you get. Like, I'm getting so much of it. That just takes so much time. And the time, like, drills into the stuff where I could be doing research, working on my studies, working on my stream. One way to do this is by addressing the criticism of friends and asking them if they think it's valid or not. Yeah, the problem with friends is friends are always going to be a little more biased towards you. So it's like I almost don't trust full friends. That's the problem. Era said sense. You can also get a social media manager or something. Yeah, I mean, that requires money, though. That requires money. Right now, I'm earning minimum wage full-time, which I am actually very grateful for. Not a lot of people have that, but yeah, it's not enough to be able to be in that position. And thank you for the follows, guys. Sorry I didn't get a chance to call it out. I think they're just trolls at this point. Have you seen a trend in streamers being more angry, spiteful in general since the beginning of COVID? Yeah, probably. It's probably a lot of people are like just, you know, having like COVID psychosis, you know, living inside. Talk to Merritt about this, she gets a fuck ton of hate. Yeah, I've heard about the stuff that she gets. It's really sad. And on top of that, now with the SDL thing, that's actually, I was kind of thinking of talking about the SDL thing because I actually have some experiences with SDL myself that I feel like I've known SDL for 3 years and we're not friends, right? So I feel like I'm in a unique position to talk about the whole issue with them. But the one thing that gave me pause is like, I don't know if I want to participate in this mob that's going against them. Not saying that there aren't like totally legit criticisms there, but you know, right now it's like there's like a mob. But yeah, I'm still debating if I want to talk about it. I might talk about it this stream. At least give like a fair context of my experience. The problem with libel laws against public figures is that when a public figure, you need to prove malice and forethought to get a successful lawsuit. It's very difficult to prove in court. I don't know. I guess it's weird because like, what if the other person's also a public figure? Right? Like these aren't just random viewers. You know, they're smaller, they're like other streamers. I remember playing an MMO with my guild, an Israeli player, and we had an Israeli flag, and some random player was like whispering me saying how they couldn't forgive what we were doing to Palestinian people. I'm like, bro, I'm killing 300 mobs for some quest, chill. Good friends that will tell you the truth. I think the best way to do it would be to find other content creators that are professional acquaintances rather than friends who would be willing to help with your critique. Yeah, but they all, like, that's a lot to ask for someone without, like, pay, you know? That's a lot of work. That's why you cannot spend your time looking for examples. If the critic can't give examples, just drop it. Yeah, Nova, that's a good point. Even if you could somehow participate in apartheid as a child, shouldn't the leftists understand that people are a product of their environment? Yeah. I mean, on top of that, I wasn't... First of all, apartheid ended in 1990. And fully ended in 1994 because it took 4 years for it to end. And like, I only moved to South Africa in the early 90s from Israel because of the Gulf War. Like, I wasn't born in South Africa. So I was a baby when I came there. And by the time we came, like, apartheid was being dismantled. Like, and good for apartheid. And on top of that, it just like erases so much history. Like my mom's family and my mom's family, which were, you know, a huge, you know, I was trying to say how much I should say. because obviously some stuff is personal. But yeah, my mom's family was very, very intensely in the anti-apartheid movement. Jews in general, there were so many Jewish organizations were a huge part of, taking down apartheid. Jews in general we have a tendency to understand like oppression and discrimination and racism. So I left South Africa in around 2001. So I was like a child. I was like 11, 10 years old. So I was there for just like my childhood years. And by that point, apartheid was over. I mean, there's certainly still residual effects of that, because obviously there's going to be tons of residual effects of racism and inequities and all that stuff. But yeah, have you always had an American accent? No, I originally had a South African accent. I'm actually not American either. I'm Canadian. Though I don't speak with a Canadian accent. I think I speak with an American accent, and it's probably just because I've consumed so much media. Did you hear what happened yesterday in Israel? Yep, I tweeted about it. Totally crazy what happened. But yeah, and also just grouping, Jews technically got grouped with white people into the white category in South Africa, but they were not treated equally. They were not allowed to practice at white law firms. They were not allowed to go into the white-only stations and the white-only doors. There was still a ton of discrimination. It wasn't as bad as what happened to black people, for sure. But they were not a part of the power structures that created apartheid or perpetuated apartheid. They had no power in this. And that's where I think someone gets into a habit of, Jewish erasure and stuff when they talk like that. But I mean, even if you disagree with me, that's fine. This is historical fact, but if you want to disagree, by all means. But I think I have the right to say that that's Jewish erasure when you do. Desi's anti-socialist arc has made me more sympathetic to this argument for sure. Wait, what argument? I missed that. I definitely missed that specific argument. Good evening, please tell me the title is just clickbait. I don't want my evening entertainment to die because some assholes are spewing anti-Semitic bullshit online. Yeah, Jay Moore, I'm sorry. What I'm talking about is, it's not fully clickbait. I'm sorry. Obviously it's a little clickbait, but it's also not fully. Because I am wondering if this world is meant for me, or if I'm meant for it. Because I don't want it to change me. I'm worried that if I get the thick skin that's needed, it'll translate into me being less empathetic and less sensitive to other people. Have you reached out to someone like ContraPoints to do an interview? That would be amazing. No, I haven't yet. I really would love to. If you guys can DM her and message her and say you should do an interview with Eris, that would be cool. Can you hear in sign language? I don't know what that means. Yeah, so I think that I'm just wondering what I need. I don't know if I need to get therapy and that'll fix it. My biggest problem is I just don't, when I see the way other streamers deal with criticism, they're so good at handling it. And for me, it's with Denims too, she gets tons of racism too. And when do you see her complaining about it? She's but it feels like sometimes I feel like I'm a fucking stereotype. Always whining. Just this week alone, I was whining. I understand what you were talking about. It's hard for me to just Twitter and freelancer. I need to avoid desensitized to be online. BS. Yeah. Was arguing that Desi and Vosh are emotionally numb in a bad way due to the past interactions with bad faith debaters. Yeah, and I don't want to get to that point because I think that'll affect my interview style. And that's not the kind of person I want to be. I don't want to be emotionally numb. I've been through that. I used to be like that when I was an edgy teenager. Where I was oh, I'm like a Vulcan. I have no emotions. Facts and logic, guys. And there's so much evidence that demonstrates the opposite, right? That there's actually a lot of rational and factual reasons why we have our emotions and stuff. And they're not these silly things you should just throw out. You don't come off as whining to me. Thanks, Big Orange Jew. And it might just be my insecurity. That's why, like, I don't even think I'm necessarily getting more hate than other streamers. Like, I don't want you guys to think that I'm being targeted the most or something. I really just think I'm more sensitive to it. And that's why, that's like what's giving me pause. I'm like, is this really what I should be doing? If that's how sensitive I am, if I can't take the heat, maybe I should get out of the kitchen. After getting so much thrown stuff at you, a public figure kind of needs to become numb. It's survival. Yeah, and that's the tough thing. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. You got big very fast, and you might be a bit tired as well. Perhaps you can take a few days to rest. Well, I was gonna take today to rest. I decided not to because today's the last day of April, which means like the last day I can like get my subs up for my paycheck. So it's like a really big deal financially. So I was like, nah, I gotta stream because it's still a job, right? And you have to show up to your job even when you're not like in the best mood. And to be honest, I'm grateful I streamed because honestly, being around you guys is like, honestly, it's really nice. Did something new happen, or is this because of the other day? Something kind of new happened. It's all like kind of residual from the same thing. If you had fuck you money, what would you do? Honestly, I would get therapy. I can't afford therapy right now. But yeah, if I had fuck you money, I would get therapy. Like having a therapist to talk to once a week and just like bounce ideas off of would be really nice. I was thinking of trying like that BetterHelp thing, but it's actually really expensive. And I guess like the other thing that I could think of if I had fuck you money, I mean, maybe I would buy a piece of gold jewelry and make myself feel better. I don't know. Wait, paying for therapy is great. Oh my god, Sasquatch, thank you for those subs. Yamez. Oh my god, yeah, you guys should check out Yamez. Amazing streamer, fantastic guitarist, and also Canadian. Wow, guys, thank you so much for those subs. Sasquatch, really appreciate those gift subs. Thank you. And Altier, thank you for subbing with Prime. Means a lot. Would you do therapy with your VTube avatar? I'll do it. Honestly, like, yeah, you guys should message Dr. K. Try to get Dr. K to sit down with me. I'll do it publicly. I don't care. But yeah, you guys should check out Yamez. Really, really awesome guitarist. Even though he wouldn't play for me Oasis, right? I'm a little bitter. I don't know what the current status is, but I know Healthy Gamer was doing a program to offer free therapy. Yeah, that's actually really cool. Well, the thing is, like, the stuff isn't coming from, like, gaming. Oh my god, Gunderstream. Thank you so much for donating $5. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Fuck you money is more using money to embarrass, humiliate, force a response in the public. You can even do it on Twitch. Yeah, I'm hoping that Twitch speaks out about this kind of stuff, because I do think at some point they're kind of responsible for the mental health of their streamers. Because they're making tons of bank. Like, you think, like, whenever you guys are subbing, like, they're getting, like, 50. Like, boom, 50 all the time. Though if you get, like, a higher tier, I think the streamer gets, like, more and more for the higher tiers. Yeah. Maybe you should only spread the criticisms of you that are sent via specific methods, something adequately time-consuming, so that people don't impulsively send you shit. Yeah, I'd be thinking about just turning off my DMs. The problem is, like, I kind of have to have my DMs open to be able to work with other streamers and stuff. A crack idea, you could start smoking weed, help you give a fuck, but stay empathetic. I haven't smoked weed in 10 years, but I have started doing edibles. It's like the first time I did weed in 10 years. And I've done it twice now, and it's actually really nice. What's nice, especially in Canada, it's become like legal and stuff, so you know exactly where it's coming from. My biggest problem with weed before was like, I didn't know if it was laced with stuff. I didn't know if I was supporting the cartels, like, and a lot of stuff like that. So now that it's legal, it's like I know exactly where it's coming from, so I could just eat like a gummy. But I don't want to. I don't want to like self-medicate like that. Like that feels like a really unhealthy way to do it. Yeah, I streamed once when I was baked. That was a really bad idea. Do you guys remember when I was doing Subnautica? That was that was not the best. I would like to do one weed, please. Yeah, if you are having trouble sleeping, it's great for that. I think recent events made you think a lot about it. With the way that you conduct yourself, the odds that you'll be subject to heavy drama is minimal. You don't spread hate, you educate, and you're reasonable. Yeah, like, I'm not super political or, like, politically minded and stuff. So I was actually kind of surprised at the hate I got. But it made me wonder that, like, even if you're trying not to be political, if you're a member of an oppressed group, you have like no like just your existence is like political to some people. Like, and that's the shitty thing. So you could be like, I mean, just imagine like a trans woman, right? Doesn't want to talk about trans rights, doesn't want to talk about politics, just wants to live her life as a normal girl, right? She can't do that. Everyone's gonna think her existence, like, or just her existence is a political statement from their perspective. Like, and I think for me, just being Jewish or just being mixed race or whatever. Please don't stop streaming. I love the interviews, and there is never enough content that is both entertaining and educating. Or do it if it's too harsh for you. That's not my thing to decide, but what you do is cool. And this is 33-year-old Curious Monkey from Finland who appreciates it. Malek, thank you. Honestly, if you guys can't sub to me, like, just comments like that, they mean like 1 billion subs. Like, that means a lot. Fucking gonna make me cry. Oh shit. I'm actually crying because it's so pathetic. I'm sorry. It's illegal in my state, but my friend and I get from the legal state, so I feel good about it. Oh yeah, that's good. If you're smoking weed, I just say like, and you're smoking where somewhere is illegal, just really be careful that you're not supporting cartels. I've got a lot of hate in my life as well. I've learned through the years to never become numb to the world, but know who you are. When you know who you are, the hate rolls off you like a rain. Yeah, and I think that's the problem is I think like I still need to have, I feel like I'm very immature for my age. I think, okay, fellows, thank you. No, don't worry about it. I appreciate it. Buying a house is important. I don't want anyone to ever put themselves in a shitty position to support me, because there's so many other ways you can support me. So, like, besides financial. What was I saying? I think that the issue with the reason why this hate is, why this criticism gets to me is because I'm still recovering from depression. I wouldn't say I'm depressed anymore, but I've done streams before about my struggles with depression and stuff, and how basically, like, you know, my official depression, my intense depression really ended last year when I got Zelda, like my dog. But just like, I think people think depression is about being sad about the world, like being sad about your life, right? But I don't know if this is actually correct. You guys can double check me. But for me, my depression was very inward. It was very less focused on the world around me and focused on how much I hated myself. And I think hating yourself for so long, I think it creates some kind of trauma. I don't know if that's the right word to use. But I think it does. It creates some kind of, like, it leaves residues. So even though I don't think I participate in that stuff itself, I think it makes me more sensitive when someone gives me criticisms, because, like, I have a tendency to, there is like a little voice in my head being like, they're right. You are just whining, you're complaining, you're making all this shit up. You know, you're pathetic, no one likes you, etc. I don't want to trigger anyone, right? But, like, you guys know, I mean, if there's anyone who's depressed, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Libertarianism, thank you so much for subbing. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. You didn't feel sad. You just felt, like, nihilistic. Yeah, I guess the nihilistic part also kind of, it feeds into that, because you think the problem is you, and if you can't change you, then, you know, you're gonna be a nihilist. Yep, everything becomes a doom spiral of self-loathing. Yeah. And it's so ironic, right? Because I think the type of people that tend to be self-critical of themselves like that, on average, tend to be like the people who don't deserve to hate themselves, right? It's the people who are never looking at themselves. Because on average, like the type of person who's always looking at themselves and thinking, did I do something wrong and all that stuff, they're making a huge effort to be kind to the people around them, to be aware of their faults, like to improve. And it's the people who never worry about that shit sometimes that maybe should be worrying a little bit about it. It's one of those like sick fucking ironies. So I never want to get to a point where I just think, oh, I can do no wrong. Because that's going to be shitty. Just imagine, like, I know I'm going to inevitably, like, get canceled, say something fucked up. I know I'll do that, right? Prepping you guys already. But, just imagine if the way I respond to that is like, well, fuck you guys. Like, I did nothing wrong. Like, that's just, I don't want to be that type of person. Yeah, I gotta learn that me being self-introspective is a good thing. Yeah, no, the sub goal is done. We hit it. Thank you. I actually just need 50 more subs to hit 1,000. Which would be nuts. Absolutely nuts. Yeah, I didn't want to set it as a goal now because because I wasn't sure. I'd get sad if we didn't hit it, and I didn't want my feelings to get hurt. I'm a sensitive creature, guys. I'm a sensitive creature. But anyways, yeah. So that's basically the whole thing about what I'd be dealing with. It's not, I don't want you to be so focused on the stuff that other people are doing, right? Because tons of streamers get criticism. It's part of the job. Minta Boy, thank you so much for subbing. Welcome to the Aristocracy. Join us in oppressing the lower classes. All right. And I think that, like, the issue to me is I feel like it's me. You know, as corny as that sounds, I think it's me. Gunder, thank you so much for subbing. Welcome to the Aristocracy. I think the issue is just like I need to harden myself. I need to get thicker skin to survive this world. Because the criticism I'm dealing with now, if I get bigger, and hopefully if I continue, I do, right? But if I get bigger, I'm going to deal with way more criticism. Articles being written about me, people talking about me and things. I think what's so hard is, like, I don't get to respond to the criticism a lot because a lot of times, especially if someone's, like, concern trolling, you don't want to give them attention, and everyone's like, oh, don't respond. That's what every streamer tells me. And it's really hard for me to do that because, of course, in academia, no one can make claims. Like, the world I'm used to, when someone makes claims, they can always be countered. You never publish without it getting peer reviewed. And the fact that, like, someone could just go make claims or whatever, and I can't just, like, counter it without giving the person what they want, that's fucking sucks. It sucks. Drives me nuts. Sorry, I know I shouldn't be using nuts. It's bad. I just don't know what other word to use. I need more words to describe it. Like, when I say crazy and nuts and stuff. If you guys have any suggestions, that would be cool. The only thing that fuels the concern trolls is the tantrum throwing toddlers on Twitter is the response. A good book on this stuff, which, yeah, if you guys have any books on this, or any, like, if you have any books or articles, or even, like, a good Reddit thread or something, like, honestly, I welcome those DMs, please. Because I'm just looking for some tips and some guides. Because, like, I can't find anything. And I just feel really fucking lost. And I want to continue doing this because, honestly, streaming has been, like, the happiest time in my life. Like, I feel like I finally found the way I can use my degree for something that is good. Something that feels right. And I love this shit. I look forward to my streams every day. And I don't want to quit. Like, I want to get good at this. I just know that a big skill is dealing with criticism. That's like 50% of the job. Ever notice how everything went downhill since Club Penguin went shut down? I never used Club Penguin. Have you tried mindfulness-based meditation? I've done meditation. Meditation really helps. But you know what's funny? It's like I haven't meditated at all in the past few weeks. I used to meditate a lot. I just haven't had the time. I mean, putting so much work in. But yeah, you're right. I should do it. You guys should tweet at me randomly to remind me to meditate.